What up, kinfolk? It's your boy Screwface Capone in the house. It is the 1st of March. Year is starting to pick up and go by really quickly. Anyway, this is today's top 5, where I pick 5 of the biggest news items from last week and sum them up to you. So on this week's edition, Anthem has been delayed, and I totally called it. More details about upcoming Final Fantasy VII Remake, as well as some new Final Fantasy VII games, but it's not Chapter 2. Also, Vampire the Masquerade has been indefinitely delayed. More details on the upcoming Twisted Metal series and a new Pokemon game coming up. So we gonna hop right in, but first, if you haven't done so already, hit that subscribe button and click the bell icon. That way you'll be the first to know when I put out a new video. I put out 2 new videos this past weekend. Plus, I see we got a few subscribers, so let's pick up the pace. I got more content on the way, but right now, let's hop in. I hate to say it, but I told you so. EA confirmed last week that Anthem Next, the planned reboot of the game Anthem, is officially dead. Anthem was originally released in 2019, but was commercially and critically panned by players and critics due to its glitches, live service elements, and lack of promised features. BioWare had promised to overhaul the game in 2020, complete with a roadmap, but very little news was released since the announcement. It should be noted that half the map was redacted. Since its release, there had been several reports on the game's troubled development. At one point, it was unknown why BioWare had decided to call the game Anthem, as they had slapped a name onto the game at the last minute. Quickly, they came up with a backstory about the Anthem creation or some garbage. I won't go into the gory details, as basically folks like Jim Sterling and Yong Yeah have done a better job of covering it than I ever could. However, the game will still remain online for the foreseeable future, as BioWare will shift focus on its other titles, mainly Dragon Age 4 and Mass Effect, and the Old Republic. Are there people still playing the Old Republic? Well, anyway, just a reminder, I predicted this, but it should come as no surprise. Still though, I'm all for shameless self-plugging and self-promotion, so I'm going to show the proof below. On the plus side, it looks like Dragon Age 4 will be a single-player experience rather than a rumored live service. Anthem was one of those games that did kind of have potential, and the appeal of being able to fly your own Iron Man style suit is pretty cool, and it does have its dedicated player base. So while you never want to hear about a live service style game shutting down, well, it's not shutting down obviously, but a game being abandoned, then that's never a good thing, especially for the players. But in this case, with a game that has such troubled development as Anthem, then it's probably going to be for the best. And hopefully EA and BioWare learned a valuable lesson from this, and now they're going to go back to those single player experiences that we know them for and that we love. Hey, who knows? Maybe at some point in my lifetime we'll get a new Jade Empire game. Speaking of games being cancelled, or in this case indefinitely postponed, Vampire the Masquerade 2 has been delayed indefinitely following publisher Paradox's parting of ways with developer Hardsuit Labs. The company released a statement on Twitter last week. Basically, they stated that they needed a change and more development time would be needed. Also, the company has stopped accepting pre-orders for the game. This is going to be a bummer for a lot of fans, myself included. Remember, this was one of my top 20 games for 2021 after all. By the way, that's another shameless plug, so check out the video in the description. However, this isn't totally surprising, as there have been several issues during development. Brian Mitsoda, lead narrative writer and the writer of the original game, was let go in summer of 2020 alongside creative director Kai Clooney, and please forgive me if I mispronounced that. The two were followed shortly thereafter by senior narrative designer Kara Ellison, although she will leave of her own volition. The game also received several delays, originally set for February of 2020, before being delayed to the fall and eventually being pushed out to 2021. This is reminiscent of issues surrounding the original game, whose developer Troika was forced to close down shop shortly after the game's release due to financial issues. Also, because their game was one of the first using this source engine, they were forbidden to release the game until after the release of Valve's Half-Life 2. It was up to the fan community to develop patches for the game, since they could no longer support it. Again, this is going to suck for fans, but hopefully it'll be a matter of when, rather than if, work on the game will resume, and that's me being optimistic. For now, vampire fans can play the two visual novel style games, Codarians of New York and Shadows of New York. Last week, Sony held a State of Play presentation. While the show mainly focused on first and third party titles that were already announced, Square Enix had a number of announcements pertaining to Final Fantasy VII Remake. While there's no news about Chapter 2, and obviously no news about the Xbox or PC ports, the game will be receiving a PS5 upgrade. The PS5 version will of course feature graphical enhancements and shorter load times, along with a new episode featuring the character Yuffie. The upgrade is free for owners of the PS4 version, although they'll have to purchase the Yuffie content separately. In addition, Square Enix announced two new Final Fantasy VII related games on its social media, both coming to mobile. Ever Crisis is a single-player RPG, which will cover the events of the entire Final Fantasy VII timeline, including the compilation of titles. These include the film Advent Children and the games Georgius Cerebus, Crisis Core, and Before Crisis. The First Soldier is a battle royale style game set 30 years before the story of Final Fantasy VII. Players will utilize firearms, melee weapons, and magic attacks in an attempt to survive the battle and join the ranks of Soldier. Ever Crisis is set for a 2022 launch, while The First Soldier is set to launch later this year. If you're a fan of Final Fantasy VII, this is no doubt good news. Of course, the Battle Royale game is going to enter a pretty crowded field, but maybe the Final Fantasy VII is enough to make it stand out. Either way, these are solid titles for mobile platforms, and like the Final Fantasy XV Pocket Edition, we could even see console and PC ports somewhere down the line if the games are successful enough. By the way, it was just announced that Final Fantasy Remake will be free on PSN Plus this March. Although, if you get this version, then you won't be able to upgrade to the PlayStation 5 version, I'm told. Nintendo announced a new Pokemon game last Friday. This upcoming game is going to be wildly different from prior titles. Pokemon Legends Arceus, I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce it, I'm not into Pokemon. Anyway, Pokemon Legends Arceus is an open-world Pokemon game that takes place in the Sinnoh region several years before the events of Pokemon Diamond and Pearl. As a matter of fact, the game takes place years before Pokemon leagues and trainers were a thing, and you're setting out to create the region's first Pokedex, which is an encyclopedia of all Pokemon for those who know less about the game than I do. The developer promises that you'll be able to see Pokemon in their natural habitat as you attempt to capture them. The game looks to be a follow-up to the Let's Go games, and it also appears to take inspiration from Breath of the Wild. Along with Arceus, Pokemon Diamond and Pearl, originally released in 2006 for the Nintendo DS, will also receive remakes for the Switch. Entitled Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, these remakes will contain quality of life enhancements that later Pokemon games introduced. Arceus will release sometime in 2022, while the Diamond and Pearl remakes will be released later this year. Coincidentally, this marks the franchise's 25th anniversary, so expect to see more stuff from Nintendo throughout the year. As a matter of fact, I believe they had a concert on their Twitch channel, which featured the likes of Post Malone this past weekend. Again, I'm not much of a Pokemon fan, but this new game sounds different enough to where it can appeal to a new audience of players, along with hardcore Pokemon fans. If you're a Pokemon fan, tell me what you think in the comments. Are you hyped up about this game or not? Sony announced writers for its upcoming Twisted Metal series. Deadpool and Zombieland writers Rhett Reese and Paul Wernick, along with Cobra Kai producer Michael Jonathan Smith, will adapt the game as a live-action television series. The show centers around a new character who has to deliver a package in a post-apocalyptic wasteland. At some point, they'll encounter series mascot Sweet Tooth. Twisted Metal is the third PlayStation game franchise Sony is bringing to either the small screen or silver screen. The Uncharted film is moving forward with Tom Holland in the lead role, while an HBO series based on The Last of Us will cast Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey as Joel and Ellie respectively. As for the franchise itself, the last time we've seen an entry was 2012's PS3 reboot, meaning it's high time for a new game. In the meantime, let's see if this television series can do justice to the franchise that it's based on. Well, that wraps it up for another edition of 5-Bit News. I'm going to try to have these up every either Sunday afternoon or Monday at the latest. But again, I hope you enjoyed what you watched. If you did, click that thumbs up icon. Let me know what you think in the comments, and hit that subscribe button and click the bell icon. That way you know when I'm going to be putting out when I put out new material. Also, I'm in the process of transferring my streams to another channel, Screwface Capone Streams for You. So once that's set up, go ahead and check that out too. And until next time, I hope you guys have a great week out there, and peace 51,000 G.